Because this Les Paul Jr. that I was thinking of was completely beat up in, I don't know who had it before me, but they showed no love or mercy to this instrument. And I found it on Sunset Boulevard at Guitars R Us, which was a popular vintage store. I mean, I used to buy nice stuff from them. I mean, he sold expensive stuff. He was embarrassed that he had the guitar. He probably took it on a trade or something. Told me to take it home. It was beat to hell. It looked like someone took a hammer to the damn thing. The bridge was terrible. The pickup was barely hanging in there. And I could tell the headstock was probably broken, and the way it was painted. I don't know. I didn't know what was going on with it, but I had an extra badass bridge at home, swapped it out. I could do little setups. I like that. I could tinker a little. I was able to secure the pickup, which turned out actually to be a patent number pickup, which is kind of cool. But they had to cut off the the brackets, because the Junior isn't like arch top like a Les Paul. Mm-hmm. And plugged it in, and I made it work, and he sold it to me for like $400. It was the right weight, the right tone. Now I start bringing it out to, Revenge is going to tour a Live 3. And all of a sudden, there it is like for 4 songs, I'd swap off every couple of songs guitars, Now, it's Eric Singer's favorite guitar of mine, you know what I mean? He just would go crazy. I love that Junior, And then when we were writing for Carnival of Souls, I would bring that guitar to the jam. We literally, and it was mostly Gene, Eric, and I just jamming at a studio that we could record it, cheap studio. And it was always this Les Paul Jr. beat up thing, I think it was from '57. And it got to the point where obviously I recorded with it on Carnival of Souls. And then even when I wasn't, remember that record never came out until much later because they did the reunion tour. And then of course, once that died down, they did Psycho Circus, which I was involved in a bit by playing some bass on things like the song Psycho Circus and stuff, because I'm a good bass player too. Anyway, the guys, Gene loved that guitar so much, he actually rented it from me to have, it was probably Tommy playing some guitars or Paul, whatever, to play it on some tracks, which just shows you how there's this real interesting history with the guitar. I didn't do a whole lot with it post, because it was one of my Kiss guitars, It's in one of the tour books. You see me, one of those rock poses with my hand up in the air, and you see it. It actually probably didn't have the badass there. I probably actually just put a stop bridge.
You have to let us know if Gene buys one of the reissues.
Oh, right. Oh, interesting. He doesn't really like guitars. I got to admit.
Really?
Though, in fact, this has one knob too many. He likes just one knob. Anyway, but and I'll send him a link to it. So he'll get a kick out of it. I'm not sure if anyone shared it with him, talked about it. I know Eric's aware of it. Mm-hmm. And the pickup is the good people at Duncan, realizing that actually the pickup that I really use, even though when I first got it, it had the patent number 1, I replaced that right away with a JB. And this would be like 1991 probably. And those were the days when they literally, the girl who does the custom shop now, she actually signed, has her initials on it. So the closest thing that they make now is the Antiquity JB, which is very cool. And also, I didn't want a new-looking pickup in it. I figured since the guitar is so kind of funky anyway. So this is an Antiquity JB model, and the pickguard is the right vibe, like the old Junior. Now, what's even funny is you see how this was beat up, and then, of course, whoever owned it before me, the original one, was such a beast that there was no back plate. It just was like a piece like this that kind of covered it over, So, but it had, the original one had the bumblebee cap, and this is like a quality version of that.
Anything special with the volume and tone? And
no, really, it's just full on. It's one tone knob and one crunch. And that's the beauty of a Junior anyway, not kind of one pickup. So what's interesting is that you can clean it up, and that's what I like. Like the beginning of Childhood's End on Carnival Soul. It's actually played on that Junior, and then all of a sudden it's, I go, volume comes up. I don't really remember the song very well, but I'm just saying it started out with there was no other guitar that Gene wanted to hear. It was that Junior, but turned down rather to like barely the volume on it, like that, which is kind of interesting.
It gets that nice chimey sound.
Right, and this kind of pickup and these kind of pots will do that for you. You know, so you can clean up the sound, but you know. Look, don't play Stratty, Stevie Ray Vaughan things on this. It's not for that. It's really a crunch machine.
It's
you know?
a crunch, yeah.
And it was interesting when we were putting this all together to get this model out there. I was looking on YouTube at all the Revenge shows. You know, there are people that post entire Alive 3. You know, when I say Revenge shows, I mean in support of, you know, it was after we put out the Revenge album, which turned into the Alive 3, but it was a Revenge tour, you know. And I'm watching and I'm like, okay, there I am. Playing this guitar, you know, and I'd see it for like Love Gun and stuff, you know. So I'm not sure if I was like, okay, I should only use it on these songs or those songs. I don't know. All I know is in the course of a night, I'd play it for like 4 tunes, you know, and it just showed how important it was for me.
Well, he was playing it a little bit before the show, and what impressed me a lot about it, first of all, you can get amazing harmonics, and the sustain is amazing.
The ping factor and the sustain, and I always love when a guitar, and it's very hard to describe. I always share this with Lisa sometimes. I'm like, listen how you know, the overtones when you're bending down and they beat against each other in weird ways, you know, when it's all working right, you know.
Yeah.
And that's always something that it isn't just the pickup and the amp. It's a combination of all the elements just like making this thing happen, which is like why a Brian May through those Vox amps is just so unique, you know, that tone and different things like that. Now, it helps that he's playing it, you know, of course. But like I mentioned before, but there is a certain, you know, combination of things that just make things right. And I'm just a firm believer. I know when we did the little postcards for NAMM last year, you know, it was like a slab of mahogany, you know, I mean, because that's what it is. I mean, there's no binding, there's no fancy anything, you know what I mean?
Well, when you're playing up in that high area, you're getting that articulation.
Yes. This one.
A lot of guitars lose that. It's getting that little, it's hard to describe it. It's like a little chunk to it. Now, this amp is solid state, but when you're playing a blown out amp, it's the tube compressor.
You know, there's a great video. It's a little distorted, but you can still hear the sustain that you're talking about. I did a charity gig for MS that a publicist friend of mine invited me to. It had a lot of really cool people, actually. You know, I know I posted some stuff. It was probably back in like March, though, or something, whatever. But I brought this guitar to that event, you know, and I played with Kenny Aronoff and James Lomenzo and the guy from Marshall, what's his first name again? Bocott, you know, the guy who was from Nick Bocott, I'm sorry, from Grim Reaper. And we did a couple of Kiss songs, of course. We did Parasite. And that was great. And then I think we did, what was the other one? We did Deuce. You know, I started, you know. And then you'll see on the solo, someone captured me doing that. I'm doing all that stuff and they're right on top of me, you know what I mean? So it's actually, I think that link or the video itself is up on that Rebel Guitar site, you know, and that's proof in the pudding. I know all the people who already ordered you know, because the first half are gone. You know, I'm looking to move the other half now, you know, now that I'm going to see the actual production model in the next couple of weeks, actually. So that's why the timing of our interview is great, and I'm excited to talk about it. But honestly, you know, it's only going to be these 25, and that's it. You know,
but thank you. As you can see, the time flew by, and we definitely have to have you back.
Right. And we want to thank Sweetwater again. And if you wouldn't mind jamming us out.
Yes, and thank you all. Thank you guys for having me.